encourage you to be proactive, interactive, put your comments and questions inside the chat box, and also please share this out. Start a watch party, invite your friends and family. We want to encourage all people, not just people of color, but we are the ones who are putting it out there. People of color, encouraging all to understand that generational healing is a real conversation. Have a great night and enjoy the show.
Thank you, Lauren, for inviting me to sit in as host of tonight's special hour of generational healing by way of Bathrobe Moments. Throughout the first 6 months of 2020, we have endured a lot, to say the least. Think about it. We've been hit by a global pandemic similar to that of the Spanish flu of 1918. A failing economy our country hasn't seen since the Great Depression in 1933. And we've even been faced with riots similar to those of the 60s. Families have both grown closer together and even been torn apart. To discuss how COVID-19 has impacted varying generations, we have called together a pretty elite group of women to share their journeys with you. To begin, I'd like to introduce you to Dr. Janice Hooker Fortman. She is a wife, mother, international speaker, best-selling author, and behavioral communication specialist. She is joining us from the South Side of Chicago. Welcome, Dr. Janice.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone.
All right, our next stop is in Washington, D.C., and that's where you'll find national news correspondent Ebony McMorris Bago, the First Lady of Centerpoint Baptist Church and the woman behind Winobi Global Communications. Welcome to the show, Ebony.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Next up, we have royalty in our Miss Benton Harbor 2020 joins us as a recent graduate of Barron Springs High School, where Jada Willis was duly enrolled at Southwestern Michigan College and Lake Michigan College, which she plans to return to in the fall. Welcome, Jada.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Yay. And you're probably wondering, who am I? Well, I'm your host, Angel Livas, and I am representing Northern Virginia, where I am a single mother of 2 boys, a full-time business owner, and the host of the Woman Behind the Business talk show. All right, now that you know who we all are, let's dive in. I want to start things off with you, Jada. Many recent graduates were the babies during the 9/11 attacks and are now the lost graduates of 2020. What did you miss most this year as you were robbed of your senior year in high school?
What I missed most was my choir concert, prom, and my track season. It was cut short in high school. And outside of high school, as my reign as Miss Benton Harbor, I wasn't able to compete in my second pageant. And we also had to cancel our tour week, our coronation ball, everything that makes Miss Benton Harbor being great was all canceled. I didn't have the parade, and we get to be in the one next year. But at first, I was really depressed and really just so sad because everything was falling apart in my eyes. But I know God has something greater for me.
And so what did you do to help combat the depression? Because that is a lot. I mean, I know we all enjoyed our senior year. We had the senior pictures, the prom, all of the things that you get to do. And I mean, also as queen of your Miss Benton Harbor, how were you able to make it out of that depressive state?
I began to pray a lot because He's my ultimate source of hope. And once I began to pray more, I did devotion before I went to sleep. I always listen to church music so I can just relax. And once I started praying, I had not a vision, but I was praying months before, and it came back to me that once I sit back and let God do what He needs to do, I know that what I had planned may not align with what He has for me. I was just trying to be in His will and just stay positive through it all, because after I was just sitting in my room moping, I'm just like, I can't believe this is happening. But I started praying and I started just trying to uplift my mind and elevate my spirit. And so once I began to do that, stay connected with my friends on FaceTime and text messages, I just began to be more happy and things started falling into place.
And how old are you, Jada?
I'm 17.
And you just preached a whole word, okay? A whole word. So we got to give Jada a round of applause just for having that mentality and knowing what is the priority and how to maneuver through difficulty. So definitely, like, two snaps. All right, Ebony, I know that you and your family suffered a recent loss. Would you mind sharing just how closely COVID has impacted you and your family?
Yes, well, we just lost my father-in-law, Elder Emmanuel Bago Sr., and that was 2 Thursdays ago. And in addition of dealing with that, we had several other members of our family that actually came down with COVID as well. So he passed from COVID, and at the same time, we're dealing with 3 other family members that are dealing with it. And so it is a huge interruption because you cannot mourn and grieve the same way. So even telling the person, the wife, you can't even, my husband said something that hit me so hard. He said, I can't even hug my mother to tell her that her husband is gone. And so the traditional ways, from the funeral to the preparation, to the gathering, to the food, to how we handle self-care, all has to be reimagined. And it is a hard thing. And you have to figure out what finality kind of means for you, because the goodbye is different. It is a strange space to be in. And I've had some heavy losses, but there was always a method in how you cope and how you grieve. And this is different. And I'm a newlywed. So on top of that, I'm watching my husband, who I've not seen really grieve before, and as a wife, learning how I handle that, how we deal with family now, and trying to be as supportive as possible. And also to a man what I haven't known as long, but who was a rock, who I couldn't wait to then have my kids and then put his hands on and bless them. So for me, I'm like, it's just a lot all the way around, but God's grace is sufficient.
Amen. Now, Dr. Janice, I feel it's safe to say that everybody here has endured some loss or had to suffer in some way. Would that be true for you, or has everything kind of been on the up and up in how this whole COVID pandemic has impacted your life?
Well, I haven't had any personal losses. My family is self-isolating. As a matter of fact, my son hardly visits me, and when he does, he has his mask on and his gloves on. But then I do have friends whose COVID-19 has impacted in their family. I have a very good friend whose mom, who was actually bedridden, and she passed because there were people coming in, physical therapist, nurse, and somebody brought it into the home. And so she's been impacted, but on a personal level, thank God, my family has not been impacted.
Now, you mentioned your son, and I don't want us to go too deep into this, but your son has also kind of like switched roles, like that parenting role where he's kind of taken on that, no, mama, you need to be at home type of role. How has that played a factor?
Well, yeah, he's my daddy now. And he does talk to me about going out. And when I was telling him, well, you can come over and see me, he would stand outside with his mask on to visit me. And so it's impacted me in a way that, I can't hug him. I can't kiss him, so we talk at a distance. If I'm in the car, he's outside of the car. So I just recently got him to, like, you can come in, you have your mask on. And you put your mask on, Mom. Okay, I'll put my mask on. And so, yeah. And if I say that I'm going to the store, why are you going to the store? You can have it ordered in. So yeah. He's very protective.
No, that's good. I think it's really important. I know I definitely had that protective mode over my parents as well. And I just want to do a quick check. Everyone, you are watching Lauren Michael Harris's Generational Healing. I am your special guest host for this evening, where various generations are discussing how COVID-19 has impacted her life. Now, I have a quick, have a seat, special guest who is at the tender age of 5. Say hello.
Hi.
Can you talk to us a little bit about your experience in dealing with COVID-19?
I go to a park with my mom, and also I went to the pool today,
Mm-hmm.
and then I went here.
Now, how has it impacted you, like, with school? Like, were you able to go to school? Did you get to see your friends? Did you see your dad as often? What was that like?
I see my dad, and I also see my sisters, and I can, also swim.
So did you go to school? Have you been going to school, or did you do homeschooling?
I've been pretending I was going to school,
Oh, you were pretending you were going to school.
and our school was closed, but when I was seeing my grandparents, I had to see them, and I'm gonna go to kindergarten because I was in pre-K.
Oh, so you're heading to kindergarten. Okay. Well, thank you for joining us, Miss Kyrie. We enjoyed having you. You want to say bye?
Bye.
Bye.
I thought that it would be important to show the varying generations and how it has impacted us as a community. And even young kids have been, touched by the fact that we haven't been able to have life as normal. I know that today when my niece walked in, she hadn't seen her cousin in months. And so even them just being able to see each other, embrace each other was important. And my kids just literally, they went crazy because they haven't had that type of camaraderie in a while. All right. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about as well is Jada. Last year, your junior year at your school, you did something that I thought was very heroic and just very ahead of your time even. You put on the very first Black History Month assembly, and shortly thereafter, the Black Student Association was formed. Why was it important to establish the Black Student Association at your school, especially if you think about the state of our nation?
It was very important because our school is very diverse. However, they have a hard time embracing the diversity and really accepting how different each culture is. And so my best friend, Ebony, she started the Black Student Association. And well, we had backlash from the assembly. People were just using that time to get out of class. We were trying to educate them and inform them on the Black struggle and also Black empowerment as well. And so once they were just taking advantage of that, we were like, we need to show them that we are united as a community, not just Black people, but other minorities in our school, because we are all not put down a lot, but we go through our difficulties, and it's hard to express that to people who don't go through the same things as us. Mm-hmm. So we formed that association, and we began to discuss the problems we have at our school, if it's dealing with microaggressions or just students being ignorant. And we didn't do it in a way to not to offend them, but to just enlighten them on what they were doing and trying to help them fix it and show them that this is affecting us and you need to be more precautious and really protect how we feel and also do better as individuals.